and welcome to Sheila Lives Out Loud. I'm Sheila Mwachiro and I'm happy you found this channel. Please click subscribe and hit notifications so you never miss an episode when we upload. We are at the waterfront Karen, East Africa's leading destination for retail and lifestyle. Pop in for a great day out with great variety from local and international outlets. The waterfront Karen. You've arrived. The world recognizes the month of October as the month that creates awareness on breast cancer. Many global initiatives and campaigns are in place highlighting self-check procedures, the scope of therapy and treatment procedures, as well as the stories of those who've battled cancer and won, and those caregivers of loved ones who've been left behind. Over the next 2 episodes of Sheila Lives Out Loud, we take you back to several conversations we've had on cancer. In this spot, Simon and his wife Jane, who was diagnosed with Hodgkins Lymphoma, Kevin Mwachiro, who battled multiple myeloma, and Irene Mutisya, who was diagnosed with stomach cancer. They speak on what it feels like to be diagnosed with cancer, getting to the place of acceptance, and being open about living with cancer.
Late July. Okay, it was like I was losing weight. Then I had a swelling that was growing, but was not painful. Okay, at first I didn't think it was something serious, but he kept pushing me. You have to go to the hospital. Then I would say, I'll go when I get enough at work. I was saying, as long as it's not paining, I'm okay. I'll go next month when I get enough. Then one day he said, no, you're not going to work. Go see a doctor first. So that's how it started. I went to Bagavi, did some tests. Then they said that I had to do, they did an operation, removed the swelling, that kanyama, took it to the lab. After 2 weeks, I went back for the results. I went for the results alone. So the doctor said, Hodgkins Lymphoma, and I was like, what is that type of cancer? I started crying. I'm done, I'm going to die. So it's like, no, dude, you are going to die. Are you a doctor? No, I said, no, I know once you have cancer.
You were telling the doctor?
Yeah, I was actually arguing with him. I know I'm going to die.
The trouble began in April. I was training for this race, and I started getting lower back pain. So I went to the physio, my chiro, everything, and it just wasn't going away. And I couldn't. And one morning I just couldn't run, And when I tried running, I just couldn't. So went to see a doctor, did an MRI, and they found what they call as a hemangioma, an enlarged blood clot on my L5, which is one of the bones on the spine, on the lower spine. They said, you're growing older, everything is fine, you're in shape, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm fast-tracking it. I found myself in hospital. The night before I was spasming uncontrollably. I was blinking and I would spasm. I was in so much pain. Went to the hospital. They found out that I had a fractured vertebrae.
How did that even happen?
No one knows. Fast tracking now, this was in May. Fast tracking now to October, where I knew something was wrong. I'd get pains in my body, my lower back, despite almost 4 months of not doing much physical activity. It's still, I'm like, can bones take this long to heal? I even asked my doctor, what's up? And I remember there was one time I got a sharp pain on my shoulder blade, like someone was had a drill and was literally on my shoulder blade. I'm like, what the hell? So I started describing this to him, and I'd gone for a review and I was telling him all this. I'm like, you guy, this thing's taking too long. So I did a series of x-rays and MRIs. It's like, you do this. A few days later, soon after that, I'd gone to Uganda, and he called me. He's like, where are you at? I'm like, I'm in Uganda, work. He's like, I need you back in Nairobi today. This was like at around 1 o'clock. And I asked him, what's happening?
Why the urgency?
Yeah, why the urgency? See, I come on Fridays. Like, no, I need you in Nairobi today in hospital. You know, you don't expect phone calls like that. You're like,
No.
is how? And he told me, don't exercise. That morning I was going to, something just told me not to. I had to wear a corset before from June. It's like, do you have your corset? Yes, wear it now and get to Nairobi. You know, and then I asked him, what's up? He's like, your images don't look great. It's one of two things, spinal TB or multiple myeloma. I'm like,
What
multiple
is
myeloma
that?
is
What does
is
that
who?
mean? Whose friend is that?
Whose friend?
Yes.
Yeah,
Where do
on
they
Twitter,
live? Yeah.
You know?
Help me.
Yeah. And it's like, it's a blood cancer. So it's one of those two things. So I remember when I got that, I went to my room at the hotel and I called my friend and I cried.
I developed some very bad ulcers. I was treated for the ulcers for like 3 to 4 months. Then my doctor told me, Irene, I have given you the best medication. So now we have to go. You have to do an endoscopy. So now that's when we did an endoscopy around December of 2013. And the results were to be out the following month. That was January of 2014. Then now I went for the results. I didn't want even to go for the results. So now the doctor called me. Then I went. Then he was like, he was reading the results. Then he just stood up and told me, Irene, this cannot be happening. So I'm like, what is it? Doctor, no, he's just saying, this cannot be happening. I'm like, what is it? Then he stood up and told me, Irene, you have cancer. I was like, what the hell are you telling me? Yes, you have cancer of the stomach. I could not move. I just sat on the floor. It was, you know, that time, when you have cancer, it is a death sentence.
There is a friend of mine who works at Kemri. She told us that we must get that sample, the one she was taken from the neck. We took it to Kemri. Some of the doctors were saying it's not cancer. There were 5 of them. So 3 said it is Hodgkins. 2 said there is no Hodgkins. So again, they took the sample to Lancet. They took the sample to South Africa. We waited for about 3 weeks. Then we were called at Lancet, and they have totally confirmed. At South Africa, they confirmed it's already there.
That evening, I was admitted into the Aga Khan. They did lots of tests. Keeping my fingers crossed, it was spinal TB. A few days later, they discovered that it wasn't. So they said, you tested negative for spinal TB, which would only mean one thing.
The
I have
other
cancer.
option.
The
Yeah.
other option. And people say you accepted that very quickly. And I'm like, you have 2 options.
Yeah. It can
Like-
either be one of these two.
Yeah, it's like asking someone to marry. It's either yes
Yes
or
or no. Yes.
You know, there's no maybe. There's no maybe there. You know, I'll marry you on Monday. You know,
Yeah.
so I think that process was going through my head. For the longest, I'd hoped it was spinal TB. For the longest, I'd hoped it was. I'm like, I hope this is it. And we had just come from burying my favorite aunt, who had just died of cancer. So the family we had relatives who'd flown in, so the family was still in that mourning stage. This was, I think, barely 2 weeks into her passing away. And then next thing, Kevo has cancer. You know, it was that. You're like, I'm trying to go back to that moment. It's like, okay. It was almost like, Sawa, this is what you've thrown at me.
Yeah.
You know, okay.
So I went to the lawyer and wrote a will. And he told me, Irene, you know this is a will you're writing. I told him, yes, I am going to die. So now, my son was home during that time. I think they had come home for midterm. And then I called him. I told him, Isika, Mom has cancer, and I'm going to die. And if I die, you will take care of your brother and your sister, no matter what. And I told him, no matter what happens in your life, never leave your brother and your sister. So now the doctors told me that I have to go for an operation. It was so, I didn't want. So we went to there's a friend of mine who is a born-again Christian. She told me, we were praying because I didn't want to do the operation because I knew I would not wake up.
And I felt guilty at one time that I had cancer. I felt guilty that I was putting the family through this. We just buried my Aunt Judy, and then all of a sudden it's this. I felt guilty, or like, I'm 43, I've got cancer, where the chum's gonna come from? How can I go back to my folks' digs and start depending on people, you know? It was that. I really wasn't worried about myself initially.
I remember there was a day I called my dad and told him that we have started chemo and we need more than 500,000 for the treatment. And she said, "Wow, where will that amount of money come from?"
And then I remember having a conversation with my mom, asking her, what were you telling people that I have? She said, oh, I'm telling people you've got a lower back. I'm like, that's not helping. In my head, I didn't know. If we've had cases of cancer in our family. If we're going to make any progress, we might as well say it. I will, for lack of, for some people might struggle with this, but I will claim it and own it. It is what it is. It is what it is. There's no pussyfooting around it. And I remember when got a really good doctor, and they were good people. And I think because I had good people ushering me into this, and I think in the process of being at the Aga Khan, they were really kind to me. I'd go for an MRI, and someone's like, do you know why you're here? We're testing for growth. Another test, we're testing for a lump. They were all very gentle with me and never used the same word. So in my head, like, this is...
You guys, it's okay.
It's okay.
You can say it.
You can say it.
Say the C word.
I may not want you to say it, but
just say it.
This is it. But they were very... I remember one nurse, actually, when the doctor told me that it was... He told me it was multiple myeloma. She just touched me, and she felt it. And you're like...
Oh, Kevin.
Sorry.
I've got tissue.
And it's okay. It's all right. It's all right. This is what I have. Okay. I don't know why I'm even crying now, because I'm through the worst, but I think this is the first time I've actually gone through this and just relived this whole process.
And even don't, because if you get me started and I'm just the worst.
I'm just sweating. It's so hot now.
Oh, Kevin.
But it is what it is. We can't. It is what it is. And that's what this journey is.
Can't change it.
You can't change it. Can't change it.
In the next episode, Simon and his wife Jane, Kevin Mwachiro, and Irene Mutisya speak on treatment, the mental and physical toll, and what changes after cancer.